There wasn't a single seat left at the table. They had balloons, custom cupcakes, and champagne flutes lined in pink. I stood quietly in the corner, holding the diaper cake I was told to bring, the one I paid for. My sister giggled, glowing under fairy lights. My mom clinked a glass. And then it happened. She raised her drink and said with a grin, "To our princess and her new home." Everyone clapped. I didn't, because that new home? It was my apartment, the one I'd renovated, furnished, lived in. My dad stood up and pulled out a glossy folder, like this was a magic trick.
A deed. Signed.
Stamped. Transferred. My hands went cold. My throat dried. I looked around the room. No one looked confused. Just me. No one said, "Wait, isn't that hers?" They smiled like nothing was wrong, like it wasn't betrayal, just another announcement. My sister beamed. "I can't believe you guys did this for me." And my mom winked. "Your sister's been doing well. She can afford to share." Share? I opened my mouth, then closed it. There are moments when rage burns too hot to scream. When humiliation is so deep, it wraps around your spine and squeezes. So I smiled, set the diaper cake on the table, and left. I didn't slam the door, didn't make a scene, but I did start counting. Not minutes, not hours, appliances. Because if they thought they could gift wrap my life and call it love, they forgot who wired the walls, who bolted in the shelves, who installed every ceiling fan. By 6 a.m. the next morning, everything was gone.
Fridge.
Oven. Faucets. Handles. Even the damn light switch covers. At 6:41 a.m., my sister texted me. "Is this a joke?" I replied, "Not yet." They thought I'd disappear quietly, but I was just getting started. Because they didn't just steal an apartment. They stole from a woman who builds her own kingdom and doesn't need permission to tear it down. And by the time I'm done, they'll wish they'd never uncorked that champagne. The locksmith arrived at 7:15 a.m. By 7:30, the front door had a new handle, coded, sealed, and owned by me again. Inside, the place looked like a stripped skeleton. I took the couch, the bar stools, even the toilet paper holder from the guest bath. Because I bought it all. Every hinge, every faucet, every shelf, installed by me, paid by me. They didn't inherit a home. They inherited a floor plan. By 9 a.m., my phone lit up like wildfire. First my dad. "This is extreme. Be reasonable." Then my mom. "We didn't think you'd mind. It's family." Then my sister. "You're ruining my baby shower week." I didn't answer. They didn't deserve answers. They deserved consequences. Because while they were playing house with my life, I was quietly building something far more powerful than rooms and walls. Documentation. Bank statements. Receipts. Rental history in my name. Transfer of ownership forged under pressure and lies. All conveniently time-stamped. And tucked neatly into a digital folder labeled Emergency Fire. At noon, my parents showed up at the apartment. Or what was left of it. My mom gasped when she stepped inside. "Where is everything?" she shrieked. I tilted my head. "You mean my things?" My dad's tone hardened. "We can fix this if you calm down." That's when I finally laughed. Calm? I was ice. Glacier calm. And glaciers move slowly, but when they do, they crush everything in their path. "You forged a gift," I said. "Now you're getting the return policy." They followed me outside, still talking, bargaining. But I was already in the truck, halfway down the street before their words caught up to me. This wasn't a tantrum. It was a transfer of power. And I was just beginning to turn off the lights, one switch at a time. Because the difference between giving something and stealing it is that when you steal from a builder, you forget they know exactly how to dismantle it. By Monday, I was already 3 steps ahead. I filed a formal dispute on the deed transfer. Forged signature. False statements. My lawyer friend, Jordan, took one look and said, "They're not just unethical, they're sloppy." Sloppy enough to put the wrong middle initial on the documents. Sloppy enough to backdate without realizing I had GPS receipts proving I was out of state the entire day they claimed. I signed it. By Tuesday, a temporary injunction froze the deed. The apartment was now officially in limbo, just like their lies. That night, I posted a polite, simple message in the family group chat. If you're living in the apartment after Thursday, you'll be trespassing. My sister replied instantly. You're blowing this out of proportion. I'm pregnant. I stared at her message, emotionless. Funny how suddenly her pregnancy became a shield. It wasn't a concern when she accepted stolen property with fake smiles and fake gratitude. It wasn't a concern when she laughed under those string lights, drinking sparkling cider in my kitchen. At midnight, I sent one more text, this time just to her. You know that security camera you never noticed above the hallway mirror? Typing.
Stopped.
Typing.
Stopped again.
Because now she was realizing. The woman they used to call overly serious and too quiet had been documenting everything. Every visit. Every conversation. Even a moment my dad handed over the deed and said, she won't fight back. She owes us. The camera caught it.
Clear as glass. And now?
So did the court. Wednesday morning, my parents called. Not to apologize. To beg.
Please.
This will ruin us, my mother whispered. We could lose the church board seat. The neighborhood committee.
Ah.
So that's what mattered. Not the betrayal. Not the theft. Just the reputation. I hung up. No reply. No mercy. Because I wasn't coming for revenge. I was coming for truth. And when truth walks in wearing silence, it doesn't scream. It just points and watches everything collapse around the guilty. On Thursday morning, movers arrived. Not for me, for them. 3 uniformed workers stepped inside the apartment at 9 a.m. with a court-approved eviction notice in hand. My sister cried. My mom cursed. My dad paced like he still had options. He didn't. Every lie they told was now dust. Every smug grin from that baby shower dissolved into panic. My sister screamed, You can't do this. I'm pregnant. I looked her dead in the eye. You weren't pregnant when you signed my name without consent. They didn't even deny it anymore. Just begged. I stood still in the hallway, arms crossed, watching the workers tape up boxes, clothes, trinkets, a half-built crib. My dad tried to whisper something, maybe plead. I held up a hand. Don't. He paused. We raised you. I nodded. Exactly. You raised me. You taught me how to be quiet when hurt, how to disappear when dismissed. I leaned closer. You just never thought I'd learn how to use that silence. They were given 90 minutes to vacate. I stood outside while the neighbors peeked through blinds, curiosity in their eyes. It wasn't a spectacle. It was a reckoning. At 10:57 a.m., my sister walked past me carrying a diaper bag and nothing else. Her voice cracked. I hope you're happy. I didn't answer. Because it was never about being happy. It was about finally being heard without having to raise my voice. By 11 a.m., the locks were changed again. Not by me. By court order. I stood in the doorway, staring at the shell of a home I once built with dreams, not knowing the people I loved would rob me blind. But this time, there was no shame. Just clarity. They took my home. So I took their illusion. And when the world saw them for what they really were, not victims, not a happy family, just thieves in matching holiday sweaters, that's when I knew. They were never losing a home. They were just finally losing access to me. That line kept echoing. I hope you're happy. Like happiness was ever the point. Like they hadn't stood in a room full of cake and cameras, celebrating the theft of my life like it was confetti-worthy. But since they wanted to talk about hope, I hoped the motel pillows were flat. I hoped the mini fridge rattled all night. And I hoped every time my sister opened an empty kitchen drawer, she remembered exactly who used to stock it with groceries she never paid for. By Friday, the group chat was quiet. No baby updates. No mom's good morning memes. Just silence. Then Saturday morning a knock. I watched from the peephole. My mom stood there, holding a grocery bag. Something told me it wasn't food. I opened the door halfway. She didn't meet my eyes. I just want to talk, she said softly. Not about the apartment. About you. She sat on the edge of the couch, fingers tracing the fabric like it might forgive her. She said she missed me, that things got out of hand, that my sister didn't know better, that it was my father's idea, that she just went along. I'm not asking to move back in, she whispered. I'm asking for a second chance. I sat across from her. You know what second chances require? I said calmly, the first one being respected. She flinched. I stood up. Let me show you something. I walked her to the utility closet and opened the door. Inside, every receipt, every document, every piece of paper tied to the apartment.
Organized. Scanned.
Sealed. This is how much trust costs, I said. And I paid in full. You tried to bankrupt it. Her eyes welled. But I didn't feel sympathy. Only release. She left without finishing the tea she didn't deserve. And I sat there for a long time afterward, letting the silence fill every inch of me. Because for once, I wasn't the one left standing empty. I was whole. And they were the ones knocking on locked doors, asking for a version of me that no longer existed. By Monday, the whispers started. From church friends. From cousins who only called when someone died. From fake aunts with too much perfume and no loyalty. They didn't know the whole story, but they heard enough to pick sides. She's tearing the family apart. All over an apartment? Her sister's pregnant, for God's sake. I didn't respond, because I'd lived my whole life under that roof of guilt, where obedience was love and silence was survival. But not anymore. Instead, I printed every document, every timeline, made a file labeled for anyone who thinks I'm the villain. I sent it to the family group chat. No caption, no drama, just truth, receipts of payments, emails showing forged consent, screenshots of my sister bragging to her friend. We're finally getting her place, she'll understand. She didn't mean for me to see that one, but she sent it to the wrong thread. And once the truth was out, the silence became theirs, not mine. By Wednesday, I got a message from Uncle Dave. I'm sorry. I didn't know. If you ever need anything, you let me know. Funny how quickly people apologize when the story's no longer edited by manipulators in matching church outfits. That night, I went to the apartment, sat on the living room floor, surrounded by boxes and clean air. I decided not to keep it. Too much history soaked into the walls. But before I let it go, I walked through each room, one last time. Not mourning.
Documenting.
Because I wanted to remember what it looked like to reclaim something stolen without screaming. What it meant to walk through fire without burning down who I am. They said I overreacted. That I was cold. But they forgot. I was always the quiet one. The fixer. The builder.
The backbone.
Until I stopped letting broken people lean on me like I owed them a place to collapse. And when I finally stood on my own, I didn't raise my voice. I raised the rent on their comfort. Thursday, 6:41 p.m. My sister texted again. Be honest. Did you hire someone to take the washer and dryer? I stared at my phone and smiled.
She still didn't get it.
I didn't hire anyone. I just reclaimed what I bought. No warning. No guilt. No second guess. That night, I scheduled one last delivery. Not to the apartment. To their new address. The one they were now crashing in temporarily, according to a cousin who couldn't keep secrets. Friday, 8 a.m. A truck pulled into the motel parking lot. Two men in uniforms rolled out a massive box wrapped in black plastic. No return label. No sender. Inside, a full-sized mirror. And, taped to it, a copy of the baby shower group photo. Everyone smiling. Me, off to the side, holding the diaper cake. At the bottom of the mirror, I'd written 6 words in silver marker. Look who stole the wrong woman. My sister called me within minutes. But I didn't pick up. I let her voice go to voicemail, rambling, angry, crying. Then she texted, "Are you seriously doing all this because of a deed?" And that's when I knew. She still thought this was about property. She still didn't understand this was about identity. Because when you're always the one who gives, They forget you were never built to be stepped on. They forget that you kept the lights on when no one thanked you, that you kept quiet for peace, not weakness. But peace has an expiration date, and mine had been up since the moment they toasted new beginnings, with champagne poured over my name. So, I did the one thing they never expected. I walked away. Not with a bang, but with every single piece of power I'd ever handed them, quietly pulled back into my own two hands. And as I watched their drama explode through the family like wildfire, I didn't say a word, because silence, when earned, isn't empty. It's loaded.
Calm.
And devastating.
Just like me.
It sold in 2 days. Full asking price. No negotiations. Clean title. Cash offer. The new owner walked through on a sunny afternoon, smiled at the open space, and said, "Feels like peace." I nodded, because that's what I was selling. Not walls. Not countertops.
Peace.
I didn't need the apartment anymore. I needed closure. So I let it go. And with the money, I bought something smaller. Simpler. Quiet. No shared walls. No shadows of betrayal in the floorboards. Just sunlight, bookshelves, and locks with only my fingerprints. Weeks passed. I started sleeping again. Real sleep. Not the kind where your mind runs laps trying to rewrite conversations that already broke you. One afternoon, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a crumpled baby shower photo. My sister had circled me in red ink. Below it, 2 words. "You won." I laughed, because she still didn't get it. This wasn't about winning. This was about ending the cycle. For once in my life, I chose me. I chose boundaries that didn't come with guilt trips. I chose dignity over fake forgiveness. And I chose silence, not as a weapon, but as a door they no longer get to walk through. I didn't attend the baby's birth. I sent a single gift, a hardcover children's book. The little engine that said no. Inside I wrote, "May she grow up knowing that saying no isn't cruel. It's power. And no one has the right to take her voice away." No signature. Just a quiet echo of everything I'd fought to reclaim. A week later, I walked past my old building one last time. The curtains were new. The door freshly painted. A stranger's life beginning where mine had ended. And I smiled. Not because it was easy, but because I had finally learned. You don't have to burn bridges to disappear. You can just stop showing up and let the silence remind them you were the architect all along.